Hi, Beverly Monical here. Welcome to Total Wellness TV. Today I have with us, besides our dog who's jumping in the middle of our conversation, Dr. Bill Monical, my husband. And he had some good points the other day when we were talking, so I wanted you to share these points with our viewers. And the first thing you talked about was goals, long-term versus short-term goals. Can you quickly tell us what you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, when you identify, let's say you want to lose 2 dress sizes, how long will that take to do that? And then you break that down into intermediate goals. What do you have to do this week to get to that goal? Let's say it's going to take you 4 weeks to lose 2 dress sizes. What do you have to do week by week? What is your goal for that first week? If you're measuring inches or whether you're watching the scales, it's still a matter of having that goal for the week and then breaking it down into each day. You say to yourself, what will I do today to make my goal? And then when you're faced with a food choice, ask yourself, will this choice take me closer to my goal or farther away from it? You know, so much of weight loss or losing fat is all about your food choices. And the choices you make each and every day, sometimes by the hour, are going to affect whether or not you reach your goal.
And you said something about knowing your why. What did you mean by that?
Every choice we make, we have a reason for it. So, yeah, I want to lose weight because I want to look better in my clothes. Well, is that just all ego, or do you have something else in mind? Let's say you have children. Do you want to be a better model for them when making food choices? Do you want to be around to see them grow up and have kids? You know, because so many diseases have been associated with being overweight. So if that's your goal, to be in better health along with looking better, that's a great reason. And then every time you start to reach for that piece of pie or that piece of cake, take a look at your children. If you're at work, have a picture of them there. If that's the reason for wanting to lose the weight, identify with that why, and it'll make your choice a whole lot easier.
I like that, Bill. That is a really good thing, because you want to be healthy, and you want to make right choices, but you need to know your why. So I like that. You also mentioned something to me about the percentage of eating good and bad. I didn't know what you meant.
That's part of identifying where you are right now as you head to that goal, is what percent of the time are you eating healthy, quote unquote, and what percent of the time are you not doing so good? Let's say, well, you eat 3 meals a day, and you say, well, one of those meals I make sure is pretty healthy. Well, that leaves 2 meals it isn't, so that's 1/3 versus 2/3. So 1/3 of the time you're eating well. A real good thing to think about as you're going through these steps towards your goal is you do not have to do it all at once. You know, you can't lose 20 pounds in a day. So think about, all right, yeah, I just make a little bit of a change, and let's make one of those other meals a little bit more healthy. Now you're up to 50%. Change one of those meals around where you're eating 2 healthy meals and 1 not so good, you're up to 66 2/3%. You know, if you can start to identify that and just make small changes. The small changes are easier to make and they're easier to stick with. If you're like me, you know, if I have a sugar binge, then I turn around and, you know, I'm a Libra, so I know about the scales. And if I go too far in one direction, I'm going to go back in the other direction. But if you can do little changes, the body accepts it a whole lot better. The body's always looking for equilibrium as part of the problem. So it tells your mind you're hungry when you're not really hungry. You may have a craving.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that. Now, there's one other thing that I know I have seen before, and maybe you've heard it too, is friends can make you fat. Can you explain to them how friends can make you fat?
A recent study shows that a lot of our food intake is when we are with our friends. You know, like our church social. Oh my gosh, the food that comes into there. And what you have to do when you know you're going to a social setting where there's going to be food, because normally there is, especially down south here, and it's a matter of, if you know what's going to be there, decide how much of that. I know Beverly's talked to you about portion control. Decide how much of something. Like, she always takes macaroni and cheese. You set that bowl in front of me and I could just chow down all night. So I have to decide, plus being nice to the other people, leave a little for them.
That's so sweet.
To have a small portion. So I take care of the craving for it, but at the same time not engorge myself on it, because there will be some other things there that I'm also going to taste. But when you know you have this, and you're going to go to, say, some friend's house, you go every week for a cookout or something, you know what's normally on the table, have a go-to food to avoid the ones that are full of calories. Like if somebody always makes homemade ice cream, what are you going to eat instead of that? And even take it with you if you have to. But like around the house, if your family is having ice cream and whatever they're going to have on toppings, and it just looks so good and it's so hard to resist. Or a recent example was a woman's husband brought home an apple pie from Costco, and believe me, those are good.
And they're big.
They're
really
big.
big.
So there's a lot of food there, and she lasted about 2 days, and then she couldn't resist anymore. If you have something, I know Beverly's also talked to you about the dark chocolate, something that'll satisfy that sweet craving at the same time not be damaging to your overall progress towards your goal. One of my favorites instead of ice cream is to take some plain vanilla yogurt, put frozen blueberries, bananas, and pecans in it, and mix that all together. It is yummy and at the same time healthy. I also asked Beverly if she sent you yet the list of really high antioxidant foods. They're called superfoods. And if you can step by step start replacing some of the things like Hamburger Helper with some of these superfoods, so that you're getting the nutrition as well as being able to cut down on calories. It's a great step to be able to do that little by little.
Well, I appreciate you, Bill, joining us today, and I wanted him to share these tips because he's got a lot of knowledge about these things, and he's a big help to me on my Total Wellness TV as well as my blog, BeverlyMonical.com. So please come back, and we're going to find more and more really good, interesting facts on weight loss and health, and be sharing them with you. So you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.